All right, so I literally just walked in the door from watching NFL Live at my buddy's place, and I had to come straight here and record this because what they were talking about on the show today really got my mind spinning about the Los Angeles Rams and their off-season strategy. Like, I wasn't expecting them to go this deep into Rams roster construction talk, but once they started breaking down potential moves and how everything connects, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Hey, what's up everyone? Before we dive into everything I have for you today, I need to share something real with you that would mean the absolute world to me. That subscribe button right there. Hitting it right now would bring me one step closer to my dream of reaching 1,000 subscribers. I know you're eager to get into all this content, but real quick, just smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. It's such a simple thing. It takes literally 1 second, but it's honestly the biggest way you can support this journey and help me reach that milestone. Trust me, every single subscription gets me closer to that goal. And honestly, it would mean everything to me. So, do me that quick favor right now and be part of this dream becoming reality. So the show kicks off, and you've got Laura Rutledge sitting there with the panel. And she starts the segment by talking about how Sean McVay and the Rams have really established themselves as one of the smartest organizations in the NFL when it comes to building rosters and developing talent. She was saying that what makes McVay special isn't just his play calling or his offensive genius, but his ability to identify the right people to bring into his organization, whether that's players or coaches. And she was setting up this whole discussion about how the Rams might approach this offseason when it comes to adding pieces to their offense. And that's when she brought up the name Rashod Bateman as a potential target for the Rams. And honestly, the more they broke it down, the more it started making a ton of sense for what Los Angeles is trying to build right now. Marcus Spears was the first one to really dive into this. And you know how Marcus gets when he's passionate about something. He was like, look, the Rams have done an incredible job building out their receiver room over the years. You look at guys like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and those are legitimate stars at the position. But Marcus was making the point that in today's NFL, you can never have too many weapons at receiver. The best teams in the league have 3, 4, sometimes 5 guys who can hurt you in the passing game. And while the Rams have their stars, they could use another dynamic piece who can complement what they already have. And Marcus was saying that Rashod Bateman is exactly the type of player who could fill that role. He was breaking down Bateman's game and talking about how this is a young receiver who is still ascending in his career. He's physical, he's got good size, he runs solid routes, and he's shown flashes of being a legitimate playmaker in the NFL. The issue has been consistency and staying healthy, but the raw talent is absolutely there. And Marcus was emphasizing that when you have a coaching staff like the Rams have, with guys who have a proven track record of developing receivers, you can take a chance on a player like Bateman because you trust your ability to unlock his full potential. Then Dan Orlovsky jumped in with his perspective, and you know Dan loves to get into the X's and O's of things. He was talking about how the Rams offense under McVay is one of the most sophisticated in the entire NFL. They use motion, misdirection, play action, and they create opportunities for receivers to get the ball in space. And Dan was saying that Bateman would thrive in that kind of system because it plays to his strengths. Dan was breaking down specific aspects of Bateman's game and talking about how he's really good at the intermediate routes, the comebacks, the digs, the crossers where he can catch the ball with momentum and turn upfield for yards after the catch. He was also talking about how Bateman has shown the ability to win contested catches, which is valuable in the red zone and in tight window situations. And in McVay's offense, where the quarterback is often throwing with anticipation to spots where the receiver is expected to be, having a guy who can win those contested battles is huge. And Dan made this really interesting point about the Rams' philosophy when it comes to receivers. He was saying that McVay and his staff have shown time and time again that they can take receivers and maximize their potential. Look at Cooper Kupp, who was a third-round pick and became one of the best receivers in football. Look at Puka Nacua, who had that incredible rookie season. Even guys like Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks thrived in this system. And Dan was arguing that if the Rams believe in Bateman's talent, they're exactly the kind of organization that could help him reach his ceiling. Then they brought in some statistics and context that really put things in perspective. Mina Kimes was on the panel, and she started going through some numbers that show what Bateman has been able to do when healthy and when given opportunities. She was pointing out that Bateman has had some really productive stretches in his career with the Ravens, and he's shown the ability to be a legitimate number 2 or number 3 receiver in the right situation. Mina was like, the thing with Bateman is that he's never really been in a situation where the offense was built around the passing game. In Baltimore, everything runs through the running game and Lamar Jackson's legs. When they do throw the ball, there are a lot of mouths to feed. So Bateman has never really had the opportunity to show what he could do as a featured receiver in a pass-heavy offense. And she was saying that the Rams could provide that opportunity. They throw the ball a ton, they create favorable matchups for their receivers, and they know how to get playmakers involved. For a guy like Bateman who has the talent but hasn't had the right situation, Los Angeles could be the perfect landing spot. And Mina dropped some interesting context about what the Rams have been doing in terms of building their roster. She was saying that the organization has been really smart about finding value in the market, whether it's through trades, free agency, or the draft. They're not afraid to take chances on players who might have question marks if they believe in the talent. And she was saying that Bateman fits that profile perfectly. He's young, he's got upside, and he might be available at a price that makes sense for a team that's always looking to maximize value. Now, Laura brought up a really important question at this point, which is how the Rams have built their coaching staff and how that relates to player development. And this led to a whole discussion about McVay's approach to hiring coaches and how that could impact a player like Bateman. Adam Schefter actually joined the conversation via remote. And you know, when Shefty gets involved, things get serious. He was saying that one of the things that separates McVay from other coaches is his willingness to think outside the box when it comes to his staff. He's not afraid to hire young coaches. He's not afraid to bring in guys from the college ranks. And he's shown that he can develop coaches just as well as he develops players. And that culture of development extends to everyone in the organization. Schefter was talking about how McVay has had tremendous success bringing in coaches from college programs and integrating them into his NFL staff. He mentioned guys like Nate Shielhays, who came from Iowa State and has been incredible as the passing game coordinator, helping Matthew Stafford have one of the best seasons of his career. He talked about Eric Yarber, who came from UCLA, and has developed receivers like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And he was saying that this pattern of identifying talented coaches and giving them opportunities to succeed is a hallmark of the McVay era in Los Angeles. And Schefter was connecting this to the Bateman discussion by saying that the Rams coaching staff, particularly on the offensive side, has a proven track record of getting the most out of players. If they believe they can develop Bateman and help him reach his potential, that belief is backed up by years of evidence. They've done it with receivers. They've done it with running backs. They've done it with tight ends. Development is in their DNA. Then the conversation shifted to the specific coaches on the Rams staff and how they would work with a player like Bateman. And this is where it got really interesting because they started breaking down the individual coaches and their track records. Marcus Spears was talking about Eric Yarber, the receivers coach who has been with McVay since 2017. He was going through the list of receivers that Yarber has worked with. And it's pretty incredible. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Odell Beckham Jr., Devontae Adams. The list goes on and on. And Marcus was emphasizing that Yarber has shown an ability to work with different types of receivers and help them all succeed. Whether it's a smaller slot guy like Kupp or a bigger physical receiver, Yarber knows how to coach them up and get the most out of their abilities. And Marcus was saying that for Bateman, working with a coach like Yarber could be transformative. Bateman has the physical tools, he has the athleticism, but he needs refinement in his route running and his consistency. And Yarber is exactly the kind of coach who could help him with that. The combination of McVay's offensive system and Yarber's receiver coaching could be exactly what Bateman needs to take his game to the next level. Dan Orlovsky added to that by talking about the overall offensive philosophy of the Rams and how it creates opportunities for receivers to succeed. He was saying that McVay's offense is designed to create favorable matchups and get playmakers the ball in space. They use motion to identify coverage, they use play action to get receivers open downfield, and they're constantly scheming ways to get their best players involved. And for a receiver like Bateman, who has shown flashes of playmaking ability, being in an offense that actively tries to create opportunities for him could unlock a new level of production. Dan was also breaking down how Bateman would fit schematically with the other receivers on the roster. He was saying that you've got Kupp, who operates primarily out of the slot and is one of the best route runners in football. You've got Nakwa, who is a physical receiver who can win on the outside, and adding Bateman would give you another dimension, another guy who can win contested catches and who can be a mismatch against certain coverages. The diversity of skill sets would make the Rams even harder to defend because you couldn't just focus on one guy. The panel also discussed the defensive side of the ball and how the Rams have been building their coaching staff there as well. They talked about some recent hires that the team has made, bringing in coaches from the college ranks who have proven track records of developing players. And they were connecting this to the overall theme of how the Rams approach roster building.